Welcome to the Whiskey Congress. Honest, open talk dedicated to speaking the truth to those who are open to hearing it. Black, white, right, left. Most importantly, honest, bold, and fueled by good whiskey. In Whiskey Veritas, we are Whiskey Congress. Join the evolution.
Whiskey Congress is back in session. Yes, I've changed the intro. Today's a very special day. Today is National Bourbon Day. Woo-hoo. So what more should we do than drink two of the best bourbons that we've had? We've got our bottle of Booker's and our bottle of Blanton's out. I'm drinking Booker's, one of my all-time favorites.
And I'm drinking Blanton's, which is one of my all-time favorites. And then at some point in time, we will swap. They're both very good. The rating is super high. I don't know, 95s across the board, 98s, I don't know.
Yeah, no, so we already scored them, so don't score them again.
Yeah,
but
I know.
They're outstanding bourbons.
I mean, if you're a bourbon person, then chances are you agree. I don't know. There's not a ton much more that really needs to be said about them, but yay, bourbon.
Well, happy National Bourbon Day, Steve.
Same to you, brother.
Cheers.
So,
all right.
After we avoided breaking one of those glasses, which I've been known to do time to time.
I got the heavy-duty ones this time, so we're fine.
Good.
All right, yes. So before we get into local politics, we've got a major international incident. A Japanese tanker was struck by a mine in the Arabian Sea. It was a mine, right? Or is it to be determined still?
So the story coming from the U.S. government is that it was hit by a mine, and the U.S. came out pretty quickly and said it was the Iranians.
Right.
And there's
no reason not to trust our government when it comes to a bombing of a ship that. Never mind.
And so I read multiple articles today where the captain of the ship said, well, it wasn't a mine because we saw incoming projectiles.
Okay. That's probably worse.
Right. I mean, it is worse, but the U.S. comes out and says it was the Iranians, the Libyans.
Right.
Look, it was the Iranians, and we have this picture of the Iranians taking a mine that didn't detonate off the boat after it exploded. Well, first they came out and said it was before it exploded, and then they said, nope, actually it was after. But the captain of the ship is saying, well, it wasn't mines because we saw projectiles coming inward, and he was saying, if you look at where the damage is on the ship, it wouldn't be from a mine.
It's too high off the water or something?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And so that's out there. And when this happened immediately, shortly after it happened, Pompeo comes out and says it was the Iranians. And if you go to our Twitter timeline, I immediately jumped in and said, come on, you got to be shitting me. Right. Over the last month, you're saying, or the last 2 months, you're saying that the Iranians are escalating and that something needs to be done with the Iranians, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. John Bolton is...
he's wanted a piece of Iran for 20 years.
I mean, he's just got a hard dick for Iran. And so now all of a sudden, the Iranians just bomb some Japanese ships. I mean, it seems... I don't know. It seems sketchy to me, to say the least. Now, if they can produce evidence besides, look at this picture that we just happen to have, right? I mean, okay. Listen, I hate to be conspiracy theorist guy, right? I hate to be that guy. So they know a shit ton more than we do. I mean, whether you like Pompeo or not doesn't matter. I don't think many people have much of an opinion on him. Listen, the guy's in the position that he's in for a reason. So I'm hard pressed not to trust what he says. But I mean, we have enough history with our government, with with this administration, to maybe not necessarily just take what they say and just kind of say, okay, well, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
Let's keep moving on.
I think healthy skepticism is the right approach. Here.
And then the question is, what is there to gain out of this? And I guess that's because it's a Japanese ship. It's not an American ship. So if the U.S. can't then flip around and retaliate. Can we? What are we going to do? Say in the name of Japan?
Sort of, because
I don't know we're allies.
I don't know if the law has changed or the treaty has changed. But for the longest time, we were the military supporter of Japan because we took away the right to have a standing military after World War II.
Right.
So we might have legal standing.
But in order to do that, I don't think we can do that. I don't think you can do that without congressional approval. And I don't know.
Presidents have found ways to do shit without congressional approval for a while now.
I know, but I know. I think the reason why I'm skeptical of my skepticism is because this would be a really, really backdoor way to kind of back your way into an armed conflict with Iran. You know,
I agree.
I don't think that anybody would buy it. So I find it. That's the part where I'm saying. So because a Japanese ship was attacked, we're then going to use that for some sort of, unauthorized but authorized military action against Iran and put ourselves in another conflict in the Middle East. And that goes completely against everything that Trump has said about, pulling the troops out of Iraq and Afghanistan and America first and everything else like that. It just doesn't. Now, not to say that the Trump administration has made perfect sense the entire time, not to say that things don't change, but I find it hard to. And Japan is coming out and saying, "Hey, we got to figure out a diplomatic way to resolve this."
Sure.
Right. So you can't. If Japan is saying we need diplomacy, and you're just like, "Nah, f that, man. We're going to go in and fight for your honor." I mean, that's like. That's like a girl getting into an argument with her boyfriend, and then you coming up at the bar and saying, "You know what? I'm going to go knock that motherfucker out because I didn't like the way he talked to you." And she says, "No, it's fine. We were just having a disagreement." And then you go and put him in a headlock. Right. I mean, it just.
I agree. So my thought is this: hopefully we'll find out who did this and why, but the fact that the administration immediately jumped on that card, I think shows their motivations. It doesn't mean this could have been a completely...
we need to be... listen, and the reason why they're saying this, the Iranians were there, right? The Iranians showed up, and, they showed up, and they said that they wanted to, get the affected crew members off and get the medical attention. U.S. shows up, a U.S. battleship or a destroyer shows up and says, hey, guys, do not get on that Iranian boat. Once you're on that Iranian boat, we probably won't see you again, so just get back over here. And so that, I mean, I guess it could be refuted. I mean, I don't have the transcripts and I didn't see it and I wasn't there. But the Iranians were around.
Okay.
So,
but it's also in proximity to them.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, again, seen too many movies, read too many, old files of sketchy things the U.S. has done. So part of me says, man, is it possible? Did we somehow maneuver to make this happen, to give us a reason to go after Iran? And the timing is just a little convenient, right?
So obviously, I think if John Bolton had his way, we would be at war with Iran now. At least
according to Breitbart, no, he doesn't want war. He doesn't want war with Iran. He just wants to make sure that they don't get nuclear weapons like everybody else should want.
Okay. Alrighty then. All right.
That's what they say.
I'm sure they do. Obviously, I'm anti-war, especially anti-interventionist, non-involving protecting the U.S. interests wars. But I think a war with Iran would be a political disaster. So I've heard a couple people have asked me if I think the Trump administration wants a war with Iran leading up to the election. And I've said, no, I don't think they do, because I don't think it would be politically good for them. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Well, I think we're beyond that point of, is it good for this particular administration? Is it good for them? Is it bad for them? Because there have been so many things that should have been detrimental to this administration that haven't been, to where you go to war, the people who support Trump, 99% of them are going to support him no matter what he does,
right,
short of walking in their house and slapping their mother, right? And depending on how they feel about their mother, they might let that slide too.
Right.
So I don't know if it has that negative blowback that people like you are saying. Now, I also don't necessarily believe that Donald Trump himself wants this. Now, are there other people in his administration that are trying to talk him into this, or maybe trying to back him into this, right? Like, so maybe, and I'm just throwing John Bolton's name out there because he's the most obvious one, but does John Bolton try to back channel this with somebody else, some third party player, and say, hey, go attack the Japanese when they're close to Iran, make sure Iran's, there's some boats nearby.
Right.
And and that's a hell of a lot to coordinate.
Yeah.
And I don't know. So the question is, who did this and why? Maybe it was Iran. I mean, Iran, listen, they got dick tendencies, so maybe they did do it. So, but is a war a good idea? No. And I don't think I'm not saying it's a bad idea politically. I'm saying we don't need, as a country, we don't need to do this. Right? We don't need to do this. We don't need to engage with Iran. There are other ways to continue to deter them from acquiring nuclear weapons. Them supporting terrorism, right? There's very little we can do to stop that, right? I mean, we can continue to try everything that we've been trying to this point, but we have to, at some point in time, we have to weigh the cost of being the world police, right? And we have to. I think we literally have to pick and choose our battles. And is this battle one worth fighting? And on the one hand, you could say if you wait, it could be too late. And then what if you could have stopped it earlier? Then if you don't, then you'll look back and regret. This is the moment where you could have changed everything, right?
Okay.
But once you're in, you're in.
Yep.
Right. We haven't been able to.
And we don't get out.
We don't get out. Right. Our pullout game is not strong. Okay? I mean, Iraq, Afghanistan. We're all over Africa.
Vietnam.
Yeah. I mean,
that's not quite true. We didn't pull out of Vietnam,
but we're not good at it. And there's a price that we would have to pay, and I think there are enough. Well. I think if anything, I don't think that it's something that Trump wants, and that's all I'll say.
All right. Well, more will come out in the next week or two, I hope, and we'll know more. Speaking of Trump's administration, Kellyanne Conway is getting some heat for allegations she's violating her the legal avenues of her job, but through something called the Hatch Act. Yeah. I don't know much about that. You brought that to my attention. Who was calling for this?
The
all right
board of people who do stuff about stuff.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm just drawing. I was looking at something else on my phone, and then you switched up on me.
Sorry.
Not your fault. My fault. But,
okay.
Okay. Sorry. So it's the Office of Special Counsel that's calling for Kellyanne Conway to be removed from office. Now, the Office of Special Counsel has no authority to remove her from office, so it would be up to Donald Trump to dismiss her from her position, right? So since Kellyanne Conway wasn't confirmed by the Senate, then, again, that's where they have no authority to do anything other than to say, we don't like what she's doing. She needs to be removed from office. Donald, go. And Donald Trump obviously says, hell no.
Right.
Like, she's not going anywhere. I think she's, and he came out and he said she thinks she's doing a great job. She says everything we wanted her to say. She takes all the tough interviews. She'll go on all the shows, even CNN, even
fake news,
fake news, and all that other stuff. So we knew the Office of Special Counsel to come out and say it. I mean, I think they need to say it. I mean, and this is sort of the argument for impeaching the president, right? Like, at the end of the day, that the Senate isn't going to oust the president, right?
Right.
And so the Office of Special Counsel knows at the end of the day that the president isn't going to fire Kellyanne Conway. But I think they feel that it's important to acknowledge that they feel that she is breaking a law, and people need to know about that. And then in some way, shape, or form, at the minimum, in the court of, civic knowledge, right, that they know that she did this.
Okay.
Right?
But there's really good. There will be no consequence.
No, there won't be a consequence for it. Now, to be fair, in Obama's administration, Julian Castro also violated the Hatch Act, and Julian Castro was the former Secretary of HUD. And now Julian Castro's explanation is that he admitted that he did something wrong, acknowledged it, and said he wouldn't do it again. And Kellyanne Conway is a repeat offender, therefore, that's the difference between the two. Personally, I don't see a difference between the two, right? In the Hatch Act, what it does is it limits certain people in the executive branch, or most people, almost everyone in the executive branch, except for certain people. It limits their ability to partake in certain political activities while in office or working in an official capacity. And it's there,
right?
But it's one of those things where if you don't have the ability to remove anyone, right, or remove the people that you're suggesting for this, then now Office of Special Counsel, in theory, could have gone after Castro and could have had him removed because that is a Senate-confirmed position. Right?
Okay.
They chose not to, and I think part of their thing is, listen, because they had to do an investigation and talk to him. So, they went to Julian Castro and said, "Hey, this is what you did. This is what you did wrong." He owned it, and then they said, "Okay, fine." Right.
Okay.
They went to Kellyanne Conway, and she basically said, "Whatever, I don't give a shit."
Okay.
Right. And so I think again that's where the difference is. Although, so to me, if they don't have the power to remove her, then they don't have the power to remove her.
Right.
So thanks for the info, and unfortunately, we still have to deal with her.
Well, what we won't have to deal with her for much longer is your girl, Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Weird. Why would you say that?
Why would she be your girl?
Yeah,
because you ain't mine. You love her. You know what? I actually kind of respect her because her ability to look people in the eye and say complete bullshit and stand by it is basically what that role of press secretary needs. And I don't know that I've ever seen anyone do it better than her. She doesn't even attempt to hide the fact that she's full of shit. And I respect it in a sarcastic way, but I would say she was great at her job. Did she follow Sean Spicer directly, or was there someone in between? I won't say there was someone in between.
No, there was just Scaramucci was in there, but he wasn't.
He wasn't the press secretary.
He wasn't the press secretary. He was like the communications director, and then he was there for 10 days, and then.
Will you ever pass up an opportunity to bring up Scaramucci?
No, it was unbelievable. That was an unprecedented time of people in and out of the White House.
That was so awesome.
It happened so quick that I don't think you believed me when I said he was out. And
I was driving to Buffalo, and you texted me that, and I think I may have said
bullshit.
Nice try,
yeah.
right?
And I'm like, no, he's gone. So, yeah, Sarah Sanders, go back to Arkansas. Enjoy time with your family. Be a contributor on Fox News. I don't have.
She will be she'll be on Fox News.
She may or may not be. I don't know because I don't remember her being on Fox a ton prior to.
Her dad worked for Fox News.
Her dad still works for
Fox News. And
again, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Listen, go make your money. Go write a book. Do whatever. She's gone. It'll be interesting to see who they replace her with. And this isn't that big of a deal. Press secretaries in the White House come and go. I think Obama had 2 or 3. George W. Bush had a couple. Again, 2 or 3. It's not a huge deal that she's moving on. She is a mother. I think she has 3 kids, and I can only imagine the amount of stress that would put on your family. And not because it's the Trump administration, but just
the job get up there and lie.
Everyone does it. They all do it, right? They all have to either get up there and lie or get up there and say nothing, right?
Right.
Get up there and just say whatever you can and not say anything.
Say words that amount to nothing. Yeah.
So, I wish her well, and I hope she is able to sleep at night.
I don't know how she does. But she's... So, do you know when she's stepping down? Because I know it's
End of the month.
End of the month, okay. Yeah. That's not long. I'll be curious to see who replaces her. All right, so we've been trying to downplay the Trump stuff, but you can only do so much. Trump admitted that he would accept help from a foreign government if they offered it, right?
Oh yeah, he said he didn't see what the issue was with it, and that that's not the way the real world works. If someone comes to me with information, I'm not going to run it by the FBI. If it's useful, I'll use it. If it's dangerous, I'll tell them. He did what he does. People are, I think, to a degree, maybe
overreacting.
And I think that he has, in a way, kind of normalized his behavior, right?
Undeniably.
And so part of me says you're overblowing it, but on the other part, listen, this is what the whole collusion thing was about. This is what got you into this mess in the first place, right? It's your lack of knowledge about how our political system works, and you thinking that you're making deals in New York and down in Florida for real estate, and that's not what this is. This is the political system of our country. This is, our executive branch. This is
national security.
This is national. This is all of that, right? And there's a reason why, we say, listen, we don't want foreign interference from foreign governments. We don't want you taking information or anything of value from them because we don't want them to have an influence over you and how you operate. We are a sovereign nation. They have nothing to do with it. And his inability to process that is what's so frustrating, right? And because if he's able to process that, then everything that happened in his campaign, if they just own it and say, listen, we're all new to this, we're all coming from business, we didn't have a lot of politicians because we wanted to come at this, drain the swamp. We didn't want,
Sure.
a ton of
career politicians
involved. So we weren't aware that this was a problem. These are the people we talked to. This is the information we got from them. If they come out and they do it up front, bam, right? Instead of him writing the letter about what Donald Trump Jr. didn't do in the tower with the Russian woman and all that other stuff, if he comes out and says, yeah, my team met with this woman, she said she had information, we realized it was useless or whatever. If he comes out and he owns it from the beginning and just says, listen, we're new to this. We didn't know. Then if he does that, all of this shit goes away. Now, listen, there are certain people who are still going to try to go after him and cut his head off because they hate him and they can't stand him. For example. Right. But I do believe that you might, if they own it from the get-go in the media, they get out in front of it, then maybe you're not facing the Mueller report the way that you did. Maybe you're not looking at impeachment right now. Because if you come out and you say, listen, these are the people we met with, this is who we talked to. Now, some of the people, Manafort, you're not going to be able to do anything with. Flynn, you're not going to be able to do anything with. And again, he associated himself with these low bar people, and you mix that with the lying, and now you have investigation, impeachment, Mueller report, blah, blah, blah. Right? And so part of this is on him, self-inflicted wounds. Right, this is self-inflicted, but somehow he's able to turn it into support from his base, right? Because he yells he could just walk around and say fake news, and any Trump supporter in the area is going to be like, yeah, right? No matter what they said, no matter what it is, right? Donald Trump's wearing a red tie. He's wearing a red tie, but he says fake news. Trump supporters are going to be like, yeah, fake news. No matter what, it doesn't matter, right? And that's kind of where we're at. So when he says, yeah, I'll take that information and blah, 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 no, that's not what you're supposed to do, right? Not fucking at all. But because this fucking moron has created this cyclone of nonsense, right, I have to look at it and just you know what? He just doesn't fucking get it. He's not going to fucking get it. And it's probably going to happen again. And are we really going to do this? Or, are we going to do this song and dance again with this next campaign? Because I'm sure Russia heard him loud and clear. The Chinese heard him loud and clear. So they'll probably try again, right?
Yeah.
But actually they probably won't because they don't need to, right? Because in reality, the Democratic Party right now looks like a shit show, right? So I don't think anyone's looking. The reality is I don't think anyone is looking and saying Trump's gonna lose. In reality, it looks like he's probably gonna win probably going away. And I don't care. I know there was a poll that said Biden leads Trump. Okay, you know where polls got you fuckers last time, right? And if you think that the media has learned a thing since 2016 and 2015, you've lost your mind, right?
Well, so here's my thoughts on that. The Republican Party is actually in a pretty serious mess themselves. They've got a former governor in Bill Weld saying he's going to run a primary campaign against the incumbent president. Other Republicans have said that they may do the same. But we don't even talk about that because the Democrats are such a shit show. I mean, and I'm not going to say the Democrats can't get their shit together. They probably could. I don't think they will, but they could. But yeah, the Democrats are such a mess right now that no one's even paying attention to what I just said, which is a big fucking deal. If with a year and change to go in Obama's administration, Hillary Clinton had said, I'm going to run a primary campaign again.
Hold on. There's a big difference between Bill Weld and Hillary Clinton.
Okay. Fine.
I mean, how many people listening right now know who Bill Weld is?
7. But
okay.
No, I mean Bill Weld. No, he's making some noise though. He was on Bill Maher's show. He's.
Okay, I know he's got a very popular show. There's a reason he's on HBO and getting paid. But come on, right? I mean, there's a small percentage of the population that's actually watching Bill Maher's show, and they're all people who happen to think like you and Bill Maher, right?
Okay, I don't think like Bill Maher. First, but anyway, it would be making news.
You're not wrong, but again, back to my point. Right now, they've got 20 plus candidates running for president right now. They're having a debate, next Thursday?
Yeah, no, it's
sometime next week. They've got a debate. One, I don't even know what the debate is because I don't care. There's so many people that for me, it almost doesn't matter. Like, I need the herd to be thinned out and get rid of some of these people who don't have a chance in hell. Like, get rid of this Eric Swalwell guy. I can't stand him. He's the only thing he's running on is gun control. The only thing he's running on is gun control, and which
is a losing cause.
It's a losing cause, and the only thing he's saying is that he wants people with guns to register, and he wants to take your guns, and anything that looks like a military weapon, assault style rifle, or assault style gun. I mean, he's come out and he's overplayed his hand. I mean, he's come out and said he basically wants to go door to door and take people's guns, and if you don't give it up, then he wants to use guns to take your guns. So he needs to go.
Right? I had not heard that, but I'm 100% on board with that.
Tulsi, your girl, Gabbard, she's got to go.
Nope.
Sorry.
Nope. Tulsi Gabbard. What is your beef with Tulsi Gabbard?
She has no platform.
Yeah, she does.
Okay.
Her big thing is stop interventionist wars. That's her whole thing, and that's a really good fucking policy. That's why I'm on her in her camp.
Okay, enjoy, but she's going soon. I
totally disagree with you. I think when she starts getting heard, when people start hearing from her mouth what she's about, and stop hearing from the news that, well, she's an Assad lackey or whatever, when people stop hearing that bullshit and start hearing her, I think she's going to shoot up in popularity.
Okay, well,
you're being condescending.
That being said, I need the herd thinned down to 6 people.
Okay,
right? Like, let's get rid of as many as we can. All your fringe, anyone who's got less than 1% of a percent, all those people got to go. And then when we get down to around 6 people, then we'll start to see something, right? And we know who it's going to shake out to be. It's going to be Bernie. It's going to be Biden. It's going to be Warren. Kamala Harris will be there. Pete Buttigieg will likely be there.
I doubt Pete Buttigieg will last.
I think he might.
He's really smart. He's really articulate, but he's 37 and his only executive.
How old is your girl?
I don't know. 45?
Okay.
Is it?
You might want to look at that.
Okay.
If you're going to throw if you're going to throw age out there as a number.
Okay. Well, then, age is always a number. But
right, if you're going to throw age out there as a qualifier, then check yourself.
I will find out when I can.
No.
Okay. I think Pete Buttigieg is a really smart guy. I like a lot of things about him. I think his political star is on the rise. I don't see him being taken seriously as a presidential candidate yet.
Well, again,
mayor of South Bend.
I don't necessarily disagree with your reasoning there, but if you pay attention to who people are paying attention to, whether you think they should or shouldn't, and Listen, I don't necessarily think that your girl is. She's not bad. I shouldn't say she doesn't have a platform. She does. But the bottom line is, no one's listening to her right now. So either she needs to make a big move, in these debates, or she's got to get out of the way, right? I mean, and I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying. Once they hear her, and if they do, and she makes the rise, then great, right?
She's 38.
Okay.
So that's where I draw the line.
She's literally
37 and a half. No, that's where I draw the line. 37 and a half?
Okay.
All right.
So, but, that being said, once we get the herd narrowed down and we can start to actually focus in on the candidates, because we have a good idea who it's going to shake out to be. If you don't think it's going to be Buttigieg, then maybe a Cory
Beto O'Rourke has got to go.
Beto O'Rourke has got to go. I mean, he had a really good campaign in Texas. I think that was more about people really hate Ted Cruz than how good of a candidate he is.
Ted Cruz, a.k.a.?
The kid from Duke.
Fat Dracula.
Weird.
That's what they call him in the Senate.
That's funny.
I think it's hilarious.
And then there's so many other candidates that, but so again, once they get narrowed down, that will help. But even still, I think they all have huge holes in their game. And my personal opinion, I still think Kamala Harris is probably the one who can do it. But she rubs a lot of people the wrong way. She used to rub me the wrong way. And then I had to kind of figure out why that was and kind of make peace with it and say, you know what? Get behind her, because I do think.
Why was she rubbing you the wrong way? Because she was a prosecutor, and
no, not that. I think that to me actually I think is a benefit. My issue with her was her lack of sincerity. I think she is a bulldog prosecutor. She's not to be fucked with, and now she's trying to come across as this, personable, sister. Sort of like it's fake, right? Like, just be yourself. And I know that's part of, this process of, trying to convince people how personable you are, but you're not, right? Like, just go in and because you can see, if you watch her closely, she is not comfortable in the space of, tell us about your personal life and, what's your favorite music and all that other shit. Like, she's so uncomfortable in that space. But when she flips the switch on the Senate floor, like, that's the woman that I want to see. And I just want to be who you are all the time. If you show me that all the time, I think she can't be fucked with, right? But she opens herself up when she tries to be something that she's not. And so I shouldn't say that I had a beef with her, other than it's just I would just manage her differently if I were running her campaign, right? I would do some of the stuff that you have to do in Iowa, but I would say don't fake it. Just be you, right? And then if she ever is able to do that, then I think she could be an absolute killer. But
sincerity and politics don't typically go together.
But the thing is, like, it's not like we're not talking about someone who's like a Valley cheerleader and I'm trying to turn her into a shark. Like, I have the shark that they're trying to put a cheerleading dress on, and it's not fucking working. So I guess that's my issue.
Okay.
I think
if Hillary Clinton has proved anything, is you can be a complete phony and still win the Democratic nomination. Now, she had a little thing about donating tons of money to the DNC to do it, but if there is a less sincere human being than her, I'm struggling to come up with it. Meaning Hillary Clinton. And we're gonna have a lot of dead air if we both try to come up with somebody.
True.
All right, can we stop politics? Anything else?
Yes.
Yeah, we're done. Okay. What do you think of David Ortiz as a person and a baseball player?
He was an amazing David Ortiz, Big Pappi. Him and Manny Ramirez in Boston gave me nightmares. I know Manny got caught up in the steroid thing or whatever, but at the end of the day, listen, the games were played, and we had to deal with them. And Big Pappi was just not. I mean, he was massive. I mean, the dude's 6'5", 6'6", and 280 pounds.
Right.
And, his strike zone was basically the entire batting box. But I mean, he was a great player. I mean, I hate the Red Sox. I hate Boston, all Boston teams. And but I acknowledge that he was an all-time great. And so as a person, I don't know. I mean, I know he's beloved in the Dominican Republic. I know he's done a lot for the people in the Dominican, and everywhere he goes. I mean, he's one of the friendliest guys you've ever. I actually met him. I met him and Manny in Boston.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just randomly.
Okay.
We were at the Purple Shamrock, I believe.
In Lakewood?
No.
Where's the Purple Shamrock?
The Purple Shamrock in Faneuil Hall.
Oh, well, you said in Cleveland. I thought.
Did I?
I think you did say in Cleveland.
Oh,
yes.
I meant.
So I know the
Boston.
Purple Shamrock in Boston. I know the place very well.
Yeah, in Faneuil Hall, and
I've been there a bunch of times.
yeah, incredible. Both incredibly nice. Both massive human beings, and which pot me kettle I get, but
Right.
really, just a really cool guy. So, I mean, that's leading into what happened to him.
Let me say, I also hate the Red Sox with a passion, but I consider him to be one of those guys that is. I hated seeing him at the plate. He went on a stretch late in his career where he was the most feared batter in baseball for a while, but I kind of equate him to Derek Jeter. Like, you can hate the Yankees, but it's really kind of hard to hate Derek Jeter. He's just a really good guy and vibe. And I say the same about Big Pappi. I couldn't hate him.
And both of those guys, I mean, Derek Jeter did things in movies and commercials that you're just like, oh, man, you're nice. Come on, man. Don't be nice. Be a dick.
Right, yeah. You're looking for an excuse to hate this person.
Looking for a reason to hate him.
I'm just
and you
being
can't.
a miserable sports fan.
Right.
So, David Ortiz was shot 5 times in the Dominican Republic in what I will call one of the most bizarre sets of circumstances.
He got hit with what we call a 50 cent, and he lived, survived, is doing seemingly okay. And the circumstances of him getting shot, like you said, I mean, remember I told you, and you didn't believe. The guy sitting next to us at the bar was just like, I don't know if I believe that. And I'm like, okay, I'm not saying this is gospel, but I mean, it's plausible,
So it's
right?
alleged that he was believed by a drug dealer in the Dominican Republic to be fooling around with the guy's wife. And so the drug dealer...
Hold on, let me rephrase that for you.
Yes.
There's a drug dealer in the Dominican Republic who believes that David Ortiz was sleeping with his wife.
Yes.
And so the drug dealer hires a Dominican cop to assassinate David Ortiz. Cop for $7,800 gets on a motorcycle with a friend. They go after Ortiz. They know he's going to be at a nightclub. Guy hops off the bike, walks up behind him, mind you, and shoots him 5 times.
Yes.
Ortiz goes down. The guy goes to get away. The crowd says, "Oh no!"
They beat
the shit out of him. Did you see the pictures?
No.
Oh, they beat the shit out of that guy. And there's like a video. The dude's like crying and
Is he a cop?
Yes.
Okay.
And they beat him like I mean, I'm not going to say within inches of his life, but within a few yards of his life.
Okay.
And now the guy, the shooter, is saying, "Wait for it. I wasn't going after David Ortiz. It was mistaken identity. They just told me what the guy was wearing, and he was wearing it, but I wasn't supposed to be shooting David Ortiz. I just got the wrong guy." Now, what that is like, listen, you're about to go to a Dominican prison. David Ortiz is beloved in the Dominican, and I'm not saying that David Ortiz is calling out a hit of his own because he doesn't have to.
Right.
And when that guy is, and I don't think that the Dominicans are going to put him in solitary confinement to protect him. So when he is released into Gin Pop, amongst the other people in Gin Pop,
who've been watching David Ortiz from prison for years, cheering for their countrymen.
Right. It may not go well for him. So he's trying to spin it, right, and say, listen, yes, I meant to kill somebody, but I didn't mean to kill David Ortiz, so we're cool, right? No, sir, you are not cool.
Yeah,
that ass beating you took in the parking lot was nothing compared to what's about to happen to your ass in jail, in every sense of the word.
It's an interesting choice of words. But in all seriousness, he probably should have died. I mean, you get blasted in the back 5 times at point blank range.
It doesn't matter how big you are.
Right.
You can't become bulletproof, but, I mean, you got to think maybe it helped.
Unless you're Luke Cage or Deadpool,
right.
You're dead now.
Right.
And, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, being a physically massive guy helps, but shit, dude. 5 bullets, point blank range. And And then there's a whole thing. I've never been to the Dominican Republic. Maybe I'm being.
Beautiful.
I've heard that. I've heard that. I don't know that that's where I'd want to have surgery done on me, though.
Nah, man. There's a lot of things I would like to have done to me in the Dominican Republic. Surgery is not one of them.
Right. So anyway, I wish Big Pappi nothing but a speedy, good recovery.
Yeah.
And I could be a hateful dick when it comes to sports. You know this all too well. But with even...
First of all, one other thing. Shout out to the Red Sox. As much as I can't stand them,
right.
They sent a private plane to get him and fly him back to Boston General, where he had another surgery and he's doing fine. I mean, that's David Ortiz is retired.
Right.
I mean, he hasn't played for the Red Sox in 3 years, and think about how fast that they had to send a plane and go get him.
Sure.
Right, because that plane,
international flight. It's
that plane was there. Like that happened at 8:30 at night, and that plane was there at 10 o'clock in the morning the next day. So for them, for that organization to say that is our guy, he's still our guy. Go send a plane, go bring him home, right? And yes, he's from the Dominican Republic, but Boston is his home here. Even though he lives in Miami, and now it's getting hard, but you get what I'm saying.
But really, what we're the very end,
right? But I mean, shout out to that organization for taking care of him and the owners. Actually, I don't even know who I would be directing that towards right now.
I'm drawing a blank on the name of the ownership, but you're right. It was in a business that does not usually involve a lot of loyalty after your career is over that they did that, and I mean. The Red Sox can afford it. It's not like they had to
Right. They didn't need a GoFundMe.
Right. But it was a class move, and he was the face of their franchise for a while. And after the Boston Marathon bombings, he was the guy that was like the face of the city and just Boston strong and all that stuff. So that was the right thing for them to do. I'm not going to give them a shout out because they're the fucking Red Sox. But all right, that's me being petty. Good job, guys. Anyway, I just hope he recovers, and I mean, they said he just recently started walking again. I mean, it's
again,
injury.
I don't know I don't know the caliber of bullet that was used, and
I saw the gun in a bag. It looked like it was a 9mm or a 40 cal, just based on the bag. I don't know for sure. Just it was. It was large.
Close.
It was a large semi-automatic handgun, so it was not anything. It was no piece.
I don't know. Maybe there is something to being big. Maybe I should start working out.
But anyway, all right, moving on. So the NBA Finals were going on, and
did you see the game last night?
You think you're a funny man, but you are not.
Okay. But we won't get into that. But so Kevin Durant
blows out his leg in Game 5.
Blows out his Achilles in Game 5, and there was a lot of debate. Should Kevin Durant have played? Listen. Yes, he's already won rings, but he's playing in the finals again. You want to be, listen, that's why you play sports, is to win, is to be a champion. He made the decision that he could go out and play. There's only so much that they could do. People are saying the Warriors should have held him out. Held him out for what?
NBA Finals.
Right,
and this is not like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's not like this injury was what he was directly being...
Right, he had a calf injury.
He had a calf injury.
Calf felt fine. He's sitting. Listen, if you watch the pregame of the game where he got hurt, I mean, he's doing like his pregame warm up. He was able to jump, stop, spin, move, shoot, shuffle, all the sort of things that you need to do on a basketball court. He looked like he was moving fine. I don't know what sort of pain reliever he was on. I don't know. I doubt that they would have gave him something like Toradol or anything like that. So he looked fine, right? I mean, he even did his little pregame dance, which is terrible, by the way, right? I mean, he's 7 foot tall.
I'm not familiar with his pregame dance.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. I mean, God bless him for having the freedom to just express himself through dance, but, whew, man, I mean, it looks like you need to duck. Because there's just so many elbows and knees and long feet flying.
He's an awkwardly built guy. He's so long.
Built right. He's just so long.
I don't know how he could injure his calves.
Right.
He has no calves.
Right.
His legs are skinny as fuck.
Right. Like from the knee to his heel, like it's just
straight line,
straight tube. But
Yeah.
So he goes to the pregame, he does everything, plays 12 minutes, scores 11 points, and then he lands awkwardly, blows out his Achilles. It happens. Now, what I can tell you is the Achilles doesn't just go, right? The Achilles is a very, very strong tendon. It's amazingly strong. And so the idea that particular move is, had he not played, he would have avoided an Achilles injury. What I'll tell you is, listen, if you're going to blow your Achilles out, you're going to blow it out. And people have blown out Achilles just walking up or down stairs, just walking, right? And so it doesn't, if it's going to go, that is years and years and years and years and years of damage. And, not doing the proper protocols to kind of help counteract that damage. And so he was probably, his Achilles was probably pretty beat up, and even if he lets it heal for another however many days or weeks or whatever, I guarantee, I am willing to bet, which there's no way you could do this, that sometime later in the summer, in the early fall, when he, in a pickup game, he was going to blow his Achilles.
And if you're not going to play in Game 5 with your team on the ropes when you think you're ready to go in the finals,
right?
Having said that, though, the impact of his injury is going to change the landscape of the NBA for next year or more. Sure, it will.
How?
Because he was going to opt out of his contract.
He still is.
Why?
Why wouldn't you?
Because you're going to get paid $30 million by Golden State to rehab rather than get paid by someone else who he's under. If he it's a player option. So if he chooses not to exercise the option, he is on the Golden State payroll next year. He's going to be rehabbing next year. I don't think he'll get on the court next year. Do you?
No. What the hell does that have to do with anything?
Well, so then why would he opt out of his contract and count on someone to sign him to a contract?
Because they will. And not only
you think so?
I
don't. You think someone will sign him to a max deal and sit him for a year?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
You know who's going to do it? The New York motherfucking Knicks. And if you bet, bet me.
All right. Let's see how we're gonna do this. Bottle of whiskey.
Yes.
50 plus, 50-ish, $50 bottle. $75 bottle. Fine. You put the terms out there. I'll tell you if I agree. I'll just determine. I say he will not opt out of his deal, and he will not sign. If he doesn't sign a max contract, I win. How's that? Next year.
Ooh, okay. I'll take that bet.
Done.
Because he can sign a max contract with Golden State. He can opt out and sign yeah. You didn't think about that.
I didn't think about that. All right, can we modify the terms?
Fuck no, we can't.
Okay, fine. If he does not opt out of his deal, I win.
No.
If he does not opt out of his deal,
no. You said if he doesn't sign a max contract.
Well, if he doesn't opt out of his deal, all right, fine. If he opts out of his deal and the team is willing to sit him for a year and pay $40 million a max contract is going to be, because those rules have all changed around.
If you're the Knicks, are you?
Am I going to spend $50 million on a guy who isn't going to play next year, and I don't know what he's going to be when he comes back? No. Well, if I'm the Knicks, will the Knicks do it? Is a different question.
All-time great.
He is an all-time great. He's a phenomenal player, but he's no kid. We talked about this last show. He's not that young. He's been in the league for 8 or 9 years. He just suffered a major injury that's going to cost him at least a season, and you don't know what he's going to be come season 2. Now, should he make a full recovery at some point? Sure. And is he one of the best players of this generation? Undeniably. The guy is a ridiculous physical talent.
Even if Kevin Durant comes back at 87%, 85, 80%.
87%.
Right, I don't know.
82.3%.
Right, yeah. And it's weird. Like, I did have a decimal in there, too.
Thank you for
that's the part that I spared. But even if he does come back and he's, again, 80% of what he was, he's still better than 95% of the league, right?
Okay.
And so if you're the Knicks, as bad as the Knicks have been with what they have, because listen, if you're the Knicks and you can get Kevin Durant, got to sit him for a year,
right?
You can get Kyrie Irving because he's in the mix, and as much as Kyrie is not as beloved as maybe he should be in Cleveland, Kyrie Irving is still a really good player.
Yeah. Not
to mention whoever you draft next week. I think you're willing. I think that you're willing to take a flyer on 80% Kevin Durant because
You know what, Steve? Maybe you're the bottle of whiskey will tell the truth here.
The kid, listen, the guy, he's only played for 2 organizations,
right?
Because he didn't.
Oh no, Oklahoma City, and then.
Okay, because I can remember if he played a year as a Supersonic, as a Sonic or not.
No,
but if you look at it though, I mean, listen, he went to the finals with the Thunder,
correct?
Right? Him and Westbrook.
Yep.
Then he goes, he makes the move to the super team,
right?
And then they go to the finals. But he is the piece, right? Because there's an argument to be made. No Kevin Durant, then there's an argument to be made that the Cavs have another title, right? Like not 2015 where they 2015 Cavs with Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, LeBron James. I think that Cavs team was a formidable match with the people that they had on that team playing at the level that they were playing. J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert, all those guys.
Sure.
Delvedeli. Just the way that they played, that that was a match that was not ideal for Golden State, right? But you have the injuries.
They had Durant.
Right. I mean, you have the injuries, and then the Cavs win. Right? When they had all 3 of them, they do. I mean, and they come back and win, and Draymond Green missed a game. But Draymond Green played in 2 games after he missed one.
Right.
Right? And then the Cavs come back and win 3-1. So, I mean, listen. But all that being said, Kevin Durant, once they added him to the mix, they were pretty much unstoppable.
Sure.
With Clay, Steph,
they set records
Durant,
for wins this
Iguodala,
season.
and I can make an argument that Iguodala may be the best 6th man of all time. Right?
Which is funny because you hate
the playoffs. Right, I can't stand him, and the reason why is because I wanted him in Cleveland. I was screaming when he was when he left Philly. I wanted Iguodala in Cleveland. Right, I mean, I thought that he would have been a perfect fit. Could you imagine a team with Andre Iguodala and LeBron James? Right,
and Kyrie Irving would have been.
Well, I don't know. I think that would have happened before Kyrie Irving, and you wouldn't have needed Kyrie Irving.
All right.
I think that those 2 on a court with the right supporting staff would have been amazing. And then he dawdles around. He ends up playing for another team or 2, lands in Golden State. Everybody thinks that he's washed up, and then he's like, "Oh, there's a reason that people were comparing me to Jordan when I was coming out of Arizona." Right now, he was never going to be Michael Jordan,
right.
And
That's
no
a
one
pretty
ever
tall order
is.
to fill.
But I mean, there was a time where everybody was making that comparison. And I've always been a huge fan of his until he went to Golden State, because I knew what he was capable of, and he has proved me right, but against my fucking team.
Okay.
So that's where it gets frustrating. But I mean, it's Golden State has an amazing squad. Kevin Durant going down was devastating to them. And then last night, they're playing this game. Klay Thompson tears his ACL. And it's, again, another guy I'm not a fan of because he beat my team. But Klay Thompson is a tough son of a bitch, right? I mean, he's got, where I come, he's got the dog in him. And he's just that type of guy. And, he tears his ACL. He's going off the court, and they're like, hey, you got to shoot your free throws. Otherwise, if you don't shoot your free throws, you can't come back in the game. So he says, all right, well, he runs back out, shoots the free throws, makes them. And then they're just like, all right, come out of the game. He's like, nope, I'm staying in the game. Right? Makes the free throws, goes back, and then, one of the guys fouls. And so he gets pulled out of the game. And he is fighting to stay in the game. Right? So then they pull him out of the game. And they're like, you need to go to the locker room. No, I don't want to go to the locker room. You need to go. So he goes to the locker room, runs, sprints, down, into the locker room, and the entire time he's back there, he's just running in place and jumping. He's like, see, look what I can do. Look what I can do. I'm running, I'm jumping, I'm running, I'm jumping. And they're like, okay, that's fine, but, you need to let the doctor see you. Doctor looks at it. As soon as the doctor looks at it, the doctor knows, right, that, you just don't have the stability in your knee.
Right.
And they shut him down. But the whole time he was back there, and he's trying to say, like, hey, is there any chance that can I go back out there and play? And if I can't play, if we can pull this off, can I at least play in Game 7? And they're like, no, you've got a torn ligament in your knee. You play basketball, you're done. And again, hats off to him, because that's the athletic sports champion
competition
mentality.
Yep.
Right? That's what creates winners. That's what creates champions. That's what creates successful people, right? Whether you have that attitude in sports or in business, or that's the separator that a lot of people don't have. And I love to see it, even if it's a guy that I can't stand playing on the other team.
You respect it, but
El DeBarge.
And then I go back to my statement that the landscape of the NBA changed because, in all likelihood, Golden State will not be a fraction of the team next year that they were this year or the previous three. They just can't. They will have no Kevin Durant for sure.
They will be a fraction of the team.
They will be, they will be a fraction. They won't be nearly as
argument,
good.
Now, how the other way you could say it is, I think that if you're right about Kevin Durant, right, if Kevin Durant is healthy for sure, he's opting out and going to the Knicks. Right, I think that's...
Or somewhere else.
Or, right,
if he's smart, he doesn't go to the Knicks because the Knicks are a dysfunctional franchise if there was one.
Bad teams are always dysfunctional until they get good players.
True.
Right?
They found ways to not...
like the New Orleans Saints were completely dysfunctional and one of the worst teams in the league until they weren't.
Okay.
Right?
No,
Until they got good players, right? I mean, listen, we're watching it right now in Cleveland. Right? I mean, the Browns are the laughingstock of the league. All of a sudden, you get a good GM, who gets a good quarterback, and you get some good players. And instead of going 0-16 and a better coach, instead of going 0-16, you win 7 games. And now people are literally talking about them going to the Super Bowl, right? And meaning it and getting mad at you if you say you only won 7 games last year, right? A guy literally wanted to fight me in the bar. Wanted to fight me in a bar because I said, you won 7 games last year. I don't know if your next step is the Super Bowl. And his buddies were just like, hey, other than the fact that he may be right, even if he's not right, this is probably not going to go your way.
Right. But the it's funny. I was out with a friend of mine. I was in Long Island and was able to spend some time hanging out with a buddy of mine. And he's a guy who I've always known as a Cowboys fan. And he lives in South Florida. He went to grad school at Ohio State, but he's from Western New York and then grew up in Dallas. And he's cheering for the Browns this year because of the energy and Baker Mayfield and all that. Now, did you hear Baker Mayfield getting some blowback about he criticized Duke Johnson for not being there? Yeah,
he did. And I think he...
Can I say just... He criticized Duke Johnson for not being in the mix as Duke Johnson is a running back for the Browns and wants to trade. And Baker Mayfield came out and basically said, get on board or don't. I just want for the people who don't know to...
I mean, listen, it's been all over national sports radio, NFL talk, all that stuff. I mean, I think he should get some blowback for it. I don't think he has enough clout in the league to kind of make that claim, right? Duke Johnson has put some time in the league that Baker hasn't. And, I get it. We're all in this together and we're all in the same, the train is moving. But Duke Johnson's gripe is, hey, listen, I played, I was the one guy on this team that you could look at and say, he was giving max effort on a 1-15 team and a 0-16 team. The Browns gave him a contract, right? They gave him a 3-year extension, and then they draft Nick Chubb, and then they bring in Kareem Hunt. So Duke Johnson,
they're trying to replace
right?
Him.
It's just like okay. So now, granted, Kareem Hunt is going to be suspended for at least the first 8 games or whatever. But that being said, Duke Johnson's whole point is, listen, between Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, what's my role going to be? Where do I fit in the mix? And if I'm not going to be if once Kareem Hunt comes back, then I'm just going to be relegated to an occasional trick play or an occasional third down pass, then I want to go somewhere where I can play, right? It's not about money. It's just that, listen, I like to play. I enjoy playing.
Right.
And if you don't think that I'm worth having around because you have these other 2 guys, then what the fuck do you want me to do? And I think it's a legitimate gripe, and people are saying it's selfish, but listen, the guy showed up to mandatory minicamp. They said he practiced hard. So and for Baker to come out and attack him, Baker, you don't know shit about the league. You've been in the league for 45 minutes. You had a really good rookie season, right? One of the best historic rookie season. Shut the fuck up.
Shutting the fuck up ain't what Baker Mayfield does well.
I don't give a fuck. Shut the fuck up. And I think that's what his teammates did. They said, you don't get it. right? Because right now it's Duke Johnson, but 4 years from now it could be you. Have a bad season.
When they
have a bad season or get injured, and then right around the time you're supposed to be up for a new contract, and then kind of see how this business works. You haven't had to go through a contract negotiation. All you did was sign a guaranteed rookie deal right out of the gate. For being the number 1 draft pick. Your contract was based off of nothing, right? What you did in college matters none, right? Your contract was based off of shit, so you don't get to talk about other people's fucking money. And this thing with Duke Johnson is about 2 things. It's about loyalty, and it is about money because, yes, he has a contract now, but Duke Johnson wants to play so that he can get another contract at some point in time. And I think in Duke Johnson's head, I don't think Duke Johnson is even thinking about that. But I think his agent and everyone around him is like, you're going to need another contract after this.
Sure.
So
and when players start messing with other players' money, that's when things get shitty. And that's kind of my bigger point is Baker Mayfield needs to be careful about alienating teammates. He's a rah-rah guy. Part of the a lot of his criticism coming out of college was he's selfish, he's arrogant, he's whatever, all about himself. You do something like this, and you're now sticking your nose into someone else's business dealings and their livelihood, and that's bad decision making on his part. And it's the sort of thing where there's an easy answer. If you're Baker Mayfield, they ask you about Duke Johnson, you say, "Look, we'd love to have him here. It's a business, it's a game, and it's a business. He's got to do what's right for him, and we'll welcome him with open arms when he comes back." Done. Right?
Yeah, pretty simple.
Yep.
Right.
So, and this is kind of where I'm going to get curious about the Browns because they are an exciting team to watch. I'm really looking forward to the next NFL season. The Browns are going to come in with expectations of something big for the first time in a long time. They have a new head coach, second-year quarterback. They could do something pretty special, or they could flame the fuck out.
You're going to leave out Odell Beckham Jr.? You're going to leave out...
No. They made some big offseason moves.
Yeah.
I think Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry are going to be one of the better tandems and receiving tandems in the league, if not the best tandem. There's a lot of good things that have happened this year for the Browns, but sometimes when you come in with those expectations, it doesn't matter till you do it on the field. And
that's my broader point, I guess, when I talk to Browns fans. Is like, listen, man, you got to do it on the field. I think we all know that. I think this team is going to be at minimum 8-8, right? Minimum 8-8, and they will push for the division. I think you can't overlook the people who won the division last year in Baltimore, and you can't overlook Pittsburgh just because everybody wants to,
sure.
Right? Like you lost Le'Veon Bell. They didn't have Le'Veon Bell last year. You lost Antonio Brown. Okay, but listen, I watched Ben Roethlisberger go to the Super Bowl with a lot less talent than what he had last year and what he has right now. So I'm not going to ignore them, and I think Cincinnati's going to be better than they were last year. So the division is going to be a dogfight, and that's the reality of it, right? And so the question is, can the Browns withstand the pressure because they're built to win, but you have Odell Beckham's never won.
Right.
I mean,
new head coach.
Right. I mean, there's a lot to go on there, right? Like Odell Beckham Jr. has never won. Jarvis Landry has never won. He went to the playoffs once, right, and lost to the Steelers.
Okay.
Baker Mayfield had an amazing season last year. They went 7-8-1. Right. I mean, no one on that team has ever actually won. It takes a lot to win in the NFL. You have to learn how to win in the NFL, and so there's a lot to be determined about who and what the Browns are, right? I'm excited for them because, listen, I live in Cleveland, and so I want to see the teams in the city succeed because I've said this before. It's a better city to live in when the sports teams are winning.
Sure.
The mood is better. The energy is good, right? Now I walk into the gym, right? I walk into the gym and everybody talks shit to me. Right? And it's not about lifting weights. It's about the Browns. Right? And I love it. And it's fun and it's engaging. And I love going to games, whether it's the Browns or the Indians or Cavs or whatever. It's just a great thing for the city when your sports teams are good and competitive. And we can turn on the TV and you can see shots of your city on ESPN or
sure.
the NFL Network or whatever sports you're watching. It's really cool. It's really fun. And so I'm excited for the season for the Browns. I'm more excited for obviously my own team, and I would love to see how this all shakes out. Can't wait. How we got onto this shit, I don't know.
It was my fault. So anyway, I do want to say congratulations to the Toronto Raptors and the St. Louis Blues for winning their first championships ever.
Two teams that won their first titles ever. Congratulations to the St. Louis Blues. Congratulations to the Toronto Raptors.
If I told you 10 years ago that a team in Toronto was going to win a championship and you would have told me it was the Raptors, I would have laughed at you. So good for not the Maple Leafs, because that was the one team that people would have actually put money behind.
Right. And the Blue Jays have won.
The Blue Jays have won, not in the last 10 years.
Yeah, 93.
Okay. Joe Carter, home run off Mitch Williams. All right, so I am very interested to talk to you about this, because we've not talked about this at all.
Where are we at on time?
We're at just over an hour.
Oh, good.
Hour 4.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
No problem. USA beat Thailand in the Women's World Cup 13-0.
Yep.
I actually watched the game. I
didn't watch the whole game.
I was at a bar watching it on replay and hanging out with the buddy I mentioned before. And there's been a lot of blowback about this. I'm curious to hear your opinion. I will certainly share mine.
So, one, I don't give a shit. Like, I wish they could have scored 20. Frankly, I don't care. Right. Bury them. And the reason why I say that is because margin of victory matters in the World Cup.
It does.
And so, sorry, Thailand. Like, listen, Thailand, they're not a historically great soccer team, and they had a really cool story in the last World Cup, but they weren't up to snuff. And so
the talent differential was so
right.
blatant.
And listen, you only get 3 substitutions.
Whole game, yes.
Right. And the USA used all 3 substitutions.
Sure.
There's only so much they could do. You can't just sit there and kick the ball back and forth, left and right.
Actually, you can.
I mean, you can, but I mean that's not doing. Like, listen, at that point in time, once it's beyond 5-3, actually probably 3-0, but 5-0, then the USA has got to use this as a conditioning, practice, exhibition, whatever, and you go and you attack. And sorry, Thailand, it is what it is.
My thought is this: I'm not going to complain about the final score. Now, it's important to note, it was 3-0 at the half. They scored 10 goals in the second half. They scored 4 goals, I believe, with 10 minutes or less remaining in regulation. And the way soccer works is the game is not 90 minutes. It's 90 minutes plus however much additional time the referee adds based on delays from injuries and other delays. And the U.S. scored a goal in extra time, in injury time. I think the U.S. should have called the dogs off with 10 minutes to go. With 10 minutes to go, you don't need to press. You preserve the shutout. You play D. You punch the ball out of bounds.
It's the World Cup. If it were just a friendly or something like that, then I would agree with you. This is the World Cup.
Sure.
And so
this is
I'm not calling the dogs off under any circumstance. I'm ripping your throat out and smashing you into the ground until you are gone. I'm doing that all the way through until I have a championship in my hand.
This is the equivalent of you're up 30 points in a basketball game.
No, it's not.
Yes, it absolutely is.
This is the World Cup.
You're up 30.
This is the World Cup.
30 points in an NBA Finals.
Okay.
You're in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, whatever.
If it were Michael Jordan, you would have to tackle him and drag him out of the game if you were up by 40 with 5 minutes to go, and you fucking know it.
Okay.
He would continue to pour it on.
Okay. All right, and people would criticize him for it, and they should. If you're calling timeouts,
and Kobe would do it.
No, but we've seen it time and time again. NBA team is way, way up. It's out of hand. They walk the ball up the court. They work the ball around.
It's also different in the NBA because, again,
there's no point differential.
There's no point differential, right. And you can clear the bench, right? You can pull Michael Jordan out and sit him down, right? And you can and put in fucking, I don't know, whoever his backup was. I can't even think of who that might have been.
Right.
But I mean, so it's not the same.
It's
because
you're right. You're right. You cannot clear the bench. You cannot put everyone in. I agree. I think it's bad form. I played soccer in high school, and don't roll your eyes. It's bad form. You're up 10-0
This is
or
the
9.
World Cup.
I'm aware
This
of what
isn't
it is.
high school. This isn't junior high.
All right, I'm aware.
Not little kids.
I'm aware.
These are fucking professionals.
No, they're not. No, they're not professionals. They're not getting paid. They're amateurs.
This is the World Cup, not the Olympics.
Okay, they're getting paid, but they're not like professionals.
What the fuck are you talking about?
All right, you're right. They're getting paid, but I don't know how much they get paid in Thailand. My point is
that's the whole thing. The U.S. women are getting paid.
Let me tell you,
they're not getting paid as much as the men.
Like, right? If this was me, I can tell you from my personal experience playing soccer, we had a team do to me what I actually almost was encouraging, only I'm saying call off the dogs with 10 minutes to go. We had a team that was way better than us, get up 2 goals in about 10 minutes, and just toy with us the rest of the game. Didn't even attempt to score, just move the ball around. I was furious because they weren't playing the game, and I was on the bench, so I was trying to get put in to light somebody up. And if I was on Thailand and you're up 10-0, and you're scoring a goal and doing the fucking dance and doing all the whatever, I would chop someone down right there. Fucking eject me. Go ahead.
Okay.
Kick me out of the game. I don't give a fuck.
Okay, well, it's also not one and done. So
I understand.
You also can't play in the next game.
True.
So that's really a bad move on your part.
I'm telling you what I would have done.
Also,
unless it was a good idea.
Instead of chopping them down, why don't you figure out how to play fucking defense? And if you can't play fucking defense, then fuck all the way off.
They were
you're not good enough.
They were clearly not
You're not good enough. And listen, this is the world stage. It doesn't get any bigger than this. It doesn't get any bigger than this. I'm not calling the dogs off on the world fucking stage. You need to go get a dog or two so you can fucking compete. Not my fucking problem. I'm not saying stop it.
I'm not saying.
And if you can't stop it, and the best thing you can do is hurt me, then fuck you. I'm gonna hurt one of your players too. Then I'll send in fucking Tina Badass to fucking hurt somebody and have her ejected.
I'm just saying
that's a shit take on your part.
It might be a shit take on my part, but I'm telling you that's how. If you want to show
me
me
to
up
feel
that
bad for you,
no, I'm not gonna feel bad for you.
And it would be even worse to do what you're saying to do. Is we're just gonna pass the ball back and forth. Pass the ball back and forth.
Okay, I didn't say that.
What the fuck?
I said call off the dogs.
Okay,
stop attacking.
It's soccer. It's soccer. Right? They pass. They make 2 passes, and then the entire fucking Thai team goes to the right, and the left is wide open. What the fuck are you supposed to do?
To be pushing offensively in injury time was Bush League. It was Bush League.
Jim, they ran forward. The girls from Thailand, they were exhausted and they couldn't, they literally couldn't get in front of a U.S. player to save their life. The girls were literally come on, man. The U.S. girls were bigger, stronger, faster, better conditioned. The girls from Thailand were fucking smoked. There was nothing that they could do.
Which is why I would have said with
you
10
don't play laterally. It's the World Cup.
With 10 minutes to go in the game, you got nothing to prove. If your 10-goal differential in that game isn't enough to get you through, then that's your problem down the road.
Come on, that's the most ridiculous
all right,
take.
We're going to knock it along on this one. All right, real quick. Interesting move by the Cleveland Cavaliers. They hired Lindsay Gotleib, the first female assistant coach in NBA history.
No, it's not. No, she's not.
No. Oh, I thought I read that.
You didn't read that.
Okay. She's not the first assistant coach?
Nope.
Okay.
San Antonio.
Okay. So she's the second?
We talked about it.
Okay. It's been a while. And I'm
she is the second she's the second in the league, and I like the move by the Cavs. And not for socio-political, I don't give a shit about gender, whatever. I mean, and it's good, but I mean, and that's great,
right?
But I like the move for the Cavs. I'm a Cavs fan, and what the Cavs are doing, they're assembling a system to develop young talent and instill in these guys the skill set that they'll need to compete at a high level, even if they aren't the most physically gifted, the most talented, right? So between bringing in Beeline and bringing in Gottlieb, you're bringing in 2 very well-established college coaches who know how to work with a lot of the guys, the age group that a lot of the guys are in on this Cavs team, right? So you've got a Colin Sexton, whoever it is you're going to draft, and there's talk about the Cavs trading back with possibly Atlanta getting 2 picks in the first round. So you may be bringing in 2, 3, however many rookies onto this team. You've got a fair amount of young talent. You've got some European talent, and you've got a guy like Delhi, and then you get some coaches in there who know how to coach fundamentals, process, and develop skill sets. That's how you build a Spurs-like organization. Now, I'm not saying that John Beilein is
Greg Popovich.
Greg Popovich. But what I'm saying is you bring in people who are going to create a culture and build a process for development and instill the necessary skill sets to be good basketball players, right? And the reason why I like her is like, listen, she is a woman, right? It's not a disadvantage. She was a very good basketball player in college, and then she's a very good coach. And so what happens is she will be able to go to these guys and say, listen, you can't rely on the fact that you're the biggest, tallest, strongest, best shooter, because you're not, right? This is the NBA, right? You're actually you're in the middle of the pack in terms of everybody else. So this is how you get better, right? This is how you're able to excel past it, because it's by playing defense. It's by moving your feet. It's by, knowing where you're supposed to be and understanding spacing and understanding timing and drilling that into those guys' heads. I love the move. I'm excited to see what the Cavs are able to do. The gender thing is important because I don't think it matters when it comes to coaching. I don't think it matters when it comes to front office in sports. If you know the game, you know the game. There's plenty of coaches who never played. Bill Belichick was a shitty football player. I don't think he ever played past college, but he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. So you can't say, oh, blah, 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 blah. That shit doesn't matter, right? You've had a lot of great coaches who didn't play or were subpar players at any level, and it's not about playing as a coach. It's about understanding how to get people to do what they're fucking supposed to do. So if she can do that, which I think that she can, and I'm not worried about her in the locker room. Like, that shit doesn't fucking matter. Like, most of these guys will be able to process it, and most of these guys are so brainwashed and trained that they're not going to disrespect a coach. And if they do, they'll be checked, right? They'll be checked by their teammates. They'll be checked by the other coaches. And, if they go too far, they'll be out of the league, banned, blacklisted. So I'm not worried about her in the locker room. I'm sure she's probably seen the dick before. She may see a few more in her time as an assistant coach in the NBA locker room. It is what it is. I'm not worried about it. I am excited about it. I think she can be really beneficial. I like what the Cavs are doing. And also, I hope that Dan is doing better. Dan Gilbert, he had a stroke a few weeks ago. All reports are that he's doing better, even though it's being kept on the hush-hush. But yeah, that's how I feel about that.
All right. I've had no problem with what you said there. I think it's interesting that they hired a coach out of college, in John Beilein, who had never coached in the NBA before, and another coach coming out of college who had never coached in the NBA before. And I think part of that might be due to the fact that things have changed in pro sports in general, and the NBA maybe in particular, where the players aren't... You can't do the, my way or the highway hard-ass coach thing today the way you could.
Make too much money.
Yeah, they make too much money, and there's too much mobility. And good for them. I'm not in any way saying don't pay them. The owners are not hurting for money either. Right. But it just changes the vibe of the game.
Well,
they have the ability to say...
You look at a guy like a Brad Stevens in Boston, you see what the success he was able to have.
True.
And so you have to wonder if there's something to it. And now, listen... they had Kyrie Irving, but before Kyrie Irving, no one looked at the Boston Celtics and said they were, just overflowing with, major talent.
Right.
They had a number of guys who were pretty good, but managed to make it, listen, you make it to the second round of the playoffs or you make it to the conference finals, I can work with that. It sucks being the dregs of the league, but, once you get in the playoffs, get me to the dance and let's see what happens. I'll take that anytime. Even if I'm coming in as an 8th seed, I'll take my chances.
Sure.
It's better than just not making the playoffs at all. And if you can get someone who can really get out of the players what it takes to, beat some teams that are really talented but not disciplined, then that's a team that can make it to the second round, the third round.
Sure.
They may not make it to the finals, but listen, I'll take that because it's fun.
Agreed. We've gone kind of long now. We're at hour 20. The whiskey's been great. The conversation was fun. Mm-hmm. Let's shut the sucker down. Later. at Whiskey Congress on Instagram and Twitter. Jim at Whiskey Congress.
I'll
Steve
take
Whiskey
it
Congress.
easy on you later.
Okay, will you? Thank you. You're so generous. Bitch.